Here we go. Friday. Can you believe it? Week 7. Next week, we're already to midterm. Actually, probably over half done with this class. So today we did a couple things. First thing I said reflection, check their work. I said you should review the syllabus in all your classes, not just this one, and then make sure you ask questions. If you're not sure, don't come crying to a teacher about your midterm grade if you aren't aware of what you need to be doing. Next week we can review Unit 1. There is a multiple choice test similar to that one we took over IT in general. We'll take that on Friday. You'll want to check the announcements and see where we're at. And then there is a midterm that covers units 2 and 3, the objectives. Teacher's perspective, we spent some time talking about that. We talked about Creative Commons. We looked at some examples, and we talked a little bit about copyright. The purpose, the amount, the nature of the work, and the effect the work would have. Would it impact people negatively and so forth? So, like a lot of times if you're using something for education and you take a small amount and the work is more generally known or the nature of it fits into what you're doing, it's like actually designed for people to learn, like information from books and so forth, and you don't impact the owner of the work, we don't impact really their opportunities for the work, like for example make some money or not. Alright, then we did a start on JavaScript. So, comments, teacher's perspective. So we reviewed briefly willingness to change, persistence, and understanding growth mindset, and the drive, motivation to get it done, and beyond a carrot and a stick. So it was designed for teachers, but I thought it was good for students to read it too. A couple things the students talked about was time. I talk about in the teacher's perspective, we only have so much time, so we have to use it wisely. And talked about Randy Pausch and the things he did. He said build a quadrant, and maybe these lines are really important information, really important to get done, and these aren't quite as important. And then this has to be done now, and this can wait a little bit. And so you have to take care of this quadrant. It's important, it has to be done now. Then you have to make a decision down here. Can you get this done, or do you move it over here? It's not real important, but it needs to be done. So you either get rid of it or move it over here and say, well, I'm going to do it later. The now work, even though this is real important, but it doesn't, now goes right here. It doesn't have to be done right now, but you still have to get it done, so you have to fit that into your schedule. So probably you go like this when you go through it, and somewhere's in there you might have to throw some things out, which you can't do, but they would be down on this end because of the important. Anyway, it's a way to manage your time. And then the last thing on the teacher's perception, there is some information. When you go into teacher's perception in Canvas, there's a place towards the end, there's a document you can look at, there's a place towards the end where I talk about metacognition, and I have some resources down there dealing with metacognition. How we think about how we think. Isn't that profound? Not really. Anyway, we think about how we think, or more so think, or how we learn. talked just a little bit about JavaScript. It's a scripting language, so we write lines of code, and then we execute those lines of code, within the website. So, for example, they were doing an example where a button, you click the button, and it executes some lines of code. That does something in the web page. It makes web pages more dynamic. So we talked a little bit about programming in general. You write a source code, then you compile that into some executable code. So when they say open source, what they're usually talking about is the code is open source. More or less, people can use it. It's kind of like, Creative Commons. It's open for anybody to take, and there's some rules wrapped around that. But all right. And to finish up today, we talked a little bit about web and key things to know. So you have to have a basis of HTML, cascading style sheets, and now we're working on JavaScript. We talked sometimes, and we'll talk more about this a little bit later on, full stack. We've got the front end, what people see in terms of the website, and then we have the back end, all the coding that makes it work. And so it's some combination that makes a good website. Okay, so make sure that you look through the materials. I'll have the announcements for the week posted. I'll have those posted by Monday. And, by Monday. And then key things, you got the outline to complete, we've got the midterm information, and our current activity work. Alright, so this will be a busy week before midterm. That's it.